Hi guys, Hackmeister here. So in this video I want to show you how to edit Gothic 3 animation files. And yeah, 24 years after release, let's get to it. So what do we need? Of course we need a clean Gothic 3 installation. We need a Blender, I think 4.2 is the newest version. And we need George's or George's G3 Blender add-on. Thanks for that, by the way, it's great. And we need a Gothic 3 pack file unpacker. So first things first, let's check the Gothic 3 game folder. Go to data. Here you see a compiled animation.pack. This file contains all animation files. Here you also see a compiled animation folder. And later, when we edit the animation, we will put everything we've done in this folder. And when we start the game, the engine will take everything in this folder before it takes animation files out of the pack file. Okay, then let's unpack the pack file. I have G3PU here. And I will link everything important in the description. And you see the compiled animation folder here, so I already unpacked everything, but let's do this again. Open it up, File, Open, Gothic 3 Data, then choose your pack file. Then extract all. Take some time because there are quite a lot of files, but we can already take a look. So there are these Xmod files, mod for motion, and there are Xact files, act for actor. And later we are going to import both into Blender, and then the animation in the mod file will act upon an actor, so to speak. Right, so now you have unpacked everything. And now before we start Blender, we actually need to know what files we want to edit. So in order to find out the names, it makes sense to start Gothic 3. Let's do this real quick here. Just load some save game here. Doop, doop, doop. Okay, here we go. Oh, the lurker's coming. Just kill it real quick. So let's say we want to edit the first strike of the one-handed combat. So this one. So what you do is type in Marvin, open the Marvin mode, then press the key above the tab key, I don't know the name. You go to Debug, View, toggle Ani infos. Press that key again. And there you go. So this lists all animations that are currently playing from the hero's point of view. I think if you focus another model, it will list its animations. But not quite sure. Anyway, let's find out the name of the animation. Sounds rather fast. Something P0 attack, hit and forward. Okay, it's oops, I know the name actually, so it's good enough. I recommend you make a recording of the game and then play it slowly back, and then you can see everything you need to know. So let's get out of here. Okay, now we open Blender. So this is Blender's first page. This can be quite overwhelming because there's so much you can click here. Yeah, but I'm sure you get the hang of it. And it's actually not that difficult to learn. I taught this myself basically for Gothic 3 animations. One important info is on the top right corner. You see a scene collection. This is some kind of explorer. This lists all your objects you're working with. And you can go ahead and delete the default stuff here. Okay. First, we need to install George's add-on. Go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons. Click the arrow here. Install from disk. Then choose the add-on. It's a zip file, but that's fine. You can choose the zip file and say install from disk. Here it pops up and that's okay. So it's already done. If it was successful, go to Files, Import. And then it should list Gothic 3 Actor, Motion and Mesh. Also export Actor and Motion. Okay, then let's import an actor. You go to your folder where you have extracted everything. See, it already lists all actors. Chicken body, for example. Yeah, interesting. But we don't need the chicken right now. And since there's so many files, it helps when you know what you're looking for. So type in hero player. There's hero body player and hero head player. So the head and the body are separated. I think this is due to the talking animations that apply only to the head. But I'm not quite sure what's going on. But let's import both. So there's the body model. And by the way, if you use the mouse wheel, you can zoom in and out. If you press the mouse wheel, you can move around like this. If you press Shift and mouse wheel and drag your mouse, you can move horizontally and vertically. And this is basically how you move around in Blender. Right. So you see the model of the body, but also the skeleton or the armature. And this is later, this is important for the animation because the animation is applied to the skeleton. And the skeleton moves the body model according to certain weights that you can apply, but it's already done here. You don't need to do anything else. Let's import the head. Head. There it is. And by the way, I'm in the object mode here. This is kind of important for Blender because depending on what mode you select here, you can do very different stuff. I can select these objects. And actually I want to have one object, not two separate ones. So I'm going to join the head to the body. So select the head, Shift, click on the body, then right click, join. And now here it's one object. I will delete whatever is left from the head. I don't want to have those. Okay, now the model is ready. Now I could already import the animation, but maybe you can already think of a problem. Of course, if I let it play now, I don't see the weapon. And it's actually kind of difficult to animate combat movements without a weapon, because you kind of need to see the weapon swing and the orientation of the weapon. And there are all sorts of problems if you don't import a weapon as well. So how do we do this? It's actually quite easy. Courtesy to Davion, I think was it. We have a Blender file here, it's G3B all. Let's just open it up. Thanks for that, by the way. Boing. Well, there you see it. I think he exported all weapons, or all kinds, one kind of each weapon, so to speak, and a model, and he imported everything into Blender in one file. Okay, now let's look. I want to have a sword kind of already close to the right hand. Show the orc sword. Now let's go with the Inquisitor model. And now comes the easy part, which is very good in Blender. I can just say copy, go to my previous instance, say paste, and there it is. This is very convenient. I can have 10 instances open in Blender and copy objects back and forth. Okay. But I see I also imported another skeleton that was attached to the sword in this file, but I only want to have one. So I select the sword. It's actually here, so let me delete the rest. Okay, so we have only the sword left. And we have our player skeleton and the model. And now I have to attach the sword to the armature. So in particular to this little bone here. Because if I would apply the animation now, it would only go for the skeleton and the sword's not attached to anything. So it would just stick around here and wouldn't be part of the animation. So how do I do it? We're still in object mode. Select it, go to this here, object, relations, parent. Now I choose the armature, parent bone, that's okay. And now I have to pick the right bone, should be hero right hand, hand 1. That's a bit fast. Boom, there you go, it kind of moved away, no problem. You see this dotted line here, this indicates there's a apparently relation between these objects. Okay, now I have to move the sword back to the hand. And now this is, I guess, what Blender is all about. I need to apply hotkeys and move stuff around. So the 3 most important hotkeys, I guess, are G. So if I press G, move my mouse, I can move around objects. If I press R, move my mouse, I can rotate stuff. If I press S, I can increase the scale. But I recommend, if you do stuff related to animations, that you do not change any scales of anything. Okay, so let's kind of put this into his right hand. Not gonna do it super gonna do it perfect here. Yeah, it's good enough, I would say. Okay, then let's import the animation. So what was it? Hero attack, P0 attack, something. As you see, these names of the animations are kind of self-explanatory. So first is the actor this applies to. So here the hero, for example. Second is the stance, so he's in parade. And then it says torch in one hand. This means left hand, right hand. So he has a torch in the left hand, one-hander in the right hand. P0 means like a first mouse button click. And pierce attack, that's what he does. So I guess this is the one where you kind of are blocking with the right mouse button, and then you press the first mouse button, and he does these kind of stabbing with the sword. One ha means left hand one-hander, right hand one-hander. So this is dual wielding. Two-hander. And this is, I think, the animation we're looking for. It's kind of interesting what you can find here. There's also a jump attack file. So they actually planned to make a jump attack, but did not finish it. Oh, here it is actually. So let's load this in. And let's see what it does. Okay. Yeah, I'm not quite sure if this would happen at the starting of the jump or at the landing, but yeah, anyway, it's kind of interesting, but let's go to the one we're looking for. This one. Oopsie. Oh no, I actually think I imported the dual wield attack. Yeah, that's how it is. You can also make a folder with like exclusively one-handed combat, maybe even one-handed without anything, then a folder one-handed with the sword, with the torch. Yeah, to get some kind of overview. Okay, this must be it now. Sorry. So here you see it. You can click this button to play it. Actually drag this to the top a little bit to see it better. This is the timeline. And we can take this thing here and go through it a bit more slowly. You can kind of see that he lifts the sword and then drags it rather vertically to the ground. And this is, I think, this part when he tends to hit the ground in the game. And I would say we will try to make the swing a bit more horizontally. So to edit animations, what you do is you click the skeleton and then you change the mode, you go to pose mode, and all the animation editing is done in the pose mode. Here it's kind of blue. You can select every bone. You see these little dots here. Those are actually the weapon slots, like melee back left. I think there's a crossbow here, crossbow X. But you cannot actually edit those here with model editing. So I actually never do anything with that, so I leave them as they are. I only focus on the bones. So if I select one, you see these yellow dots appear. These are called keyframes. And animation editing is all about setting keyframes. So what are keyframes? You can see that the whole animation consists of 9 frames. And in certain frames, so for this bone, in this case, almost all frame has a keyframe. And the keyframe is sort of like a little storage that saves the values for this bone, so like the location, rotation, and scale value. And it says, okay, in this frame, please have this orientation and location, and in the next frame, please have this and that. And this is stored in these keyframe dots. Right. Of course, then, like the sum of all keyframes, the frame number, and if I let it go, this would then constitute the animation, because we kind of tell this bone the path it has to go along the time via the keyframes. Okay. So if I change combat, strike, or swing, I often start with finding a pose I kind of think I can use as a starting point. So let's take frame 2 here. I think this is it's a little bit vertical, but still horizontal enough to kind of animate a clean swing like this. And what I'm gonna do now, which I've done rather often, is I'm going to look for a starting pose, as I said, and an ending pose. Let's take the latest keyframe here. And I will delete all keyframes for all those 3 bones. Let's do this. But I leave all the rest of the keyframes for all other bones intact, because I still want to have the body movement. So I don't want to do anything about that. But only I will edit these 3 bones, because they mostly determine the swing. And I left this last keyframe here. And let's look at it, how it shapes out now. Okay. So you might notice this kind of already looks smooth. And you might ask yourself, what is actually happening in between here? What values are being used in these frames? And this is actually depending on the method you use. In this case, we use a linear interpolation between keyframes. So let's quickly go to another view here. It's called the graph editor. Click on normalize. Now I choose only one bone. And you see, let's just open up one value, so one line here corresponds to a value that is being stored here at the keyframes. And you can see in between the keyframes, and the value is just interpolated linearly. And this is also why, this is the reason if you delete a lot of keyframes in one movement, the movement will look differently, but it's a good chance it looks smooth already. So if I edit swings, I start generally by deleting keyframes from the beginning to the last one. And you can actually change the interpolation mode to a constant, like a stepwise thing, but we don't want to have that. And the Bezier interpolation, I'm not quite sure what that is, but I made the experience that I have to choose linear interpolations because I think on one occasion Gothic 3 crashed, and the reason was there was a spot where there was a Bezier interpolation. So to fix it, I chose all keyframes, right click, interpolation mode linear. But I think on default Blender is using linear interpolation anyway. Okay, let's go back to the timeline. So I think this last pose is still kind of too much to the ground. So let's select the 3 bones again. And then I do something very important. I tick Auto IK here in pose options. Forgot what I is here, but K is, I think, kinetics. So what this means is if I pick one bone and press G, then I move it. You can see that. So you can see that the other bones of the arm, they are kind of following along as if they were glued together. And this is very helpful to keep kind of the structure of the arm intact and kind of determine the pose for 3 bones here by just setting the pose for 1 bone. So this is very helpful for editing, yes. And what happens if I untick this? So I actually can't do much here except like rotation, because this bone is parented to this one. So if I press R or G, it does basically the same, because I cannot unhook it basically, but this is good. But let's tick this again. So what would be a good pose for a good ending pose? Let's find out. Something like this. Okay, let's say this is the last pose of this animation. I have just moved the bones into a position which I like, and now I have to set a keyframe. And now this is very important. If you set a keyframe, you do a right click, insert keyframe with keying set, click on it, and then choose rotation. So why is it important that you choose rotation? I don't actually know why this is, but if you choose something else like rotation and location, or location and scale, then the game tends to crash, or the model disappears, or some other weird stuff happens. This took me some time to figure out, but it's really important. Well, I don't know if it's my setup or not, but it's, for me at least, it's important that I do not set any location or scale keyframes, only rotations. So if you find your pose, press I. No, you should press K. Insert keyframe with keying set. Then choose rotation. Okay, so now we told Blender, please set on frame A this keyframe so that these three bones have this and that value. And between frame 2 and frame 8, since there are no keyframes, it's being interpolated linearly. So if you look at it, it already kind of looks okay, I would say. But I think it's still kind of high up here in the middle. So I take keyframe 5 and I move down the hand here a little bit. Put the sword a bit more to the front. Does this look any good? Maybe so. Right click again. Rotation. Yeah, I would say it's good enough for the purposes of this little tutorial video. Except I think he kind of looks much to the right. So this is a strike forward, but he kind of follows the swing and looks, I think, a bit much to the right. So let's change this. Again, I start with a pose. I think it's okay. I only choose or select the head bone. Go ahead and delete everything in between. Okay, now I rotate this a little bit in my direction. Yeah, okay. I set a keyframe again. And so he kind of keeps his gaze straight up. Let's look at it from the back side. Yeah, good enough. Okay, yeah, we edited the swing of the one-handed combat, so the first attack. So let me think if there's more you need to know. And well, just one important info, I guess. There's this spine 1 bone here. And you see there's a dotted line here, and it hooks the whole model up to the 0 point in space, basically. And if I want to say, okay, for the duration of this animation, the hero should change his position, I can actually apply location and rotation keyframes. So just for an example, if I were to delete these 3 and say, okay, here I want the hero to make some sort of slide forward, I would press G, slide him forward, insert a keyframe, and now I choose location and rotation. So what happens? He keeps his position, but at frame 4 he slides forward and then back again for keyframe 6, because this has the old values. And I would be cautious if I change the position of the whole body, because this is only happening for the duration of the animation. And if I were to end this animation on this frame, as soon as it stops, the model in the game would snap back to the 0 position here. So you can change the hero's position during animation, but the default position in the game is at the 0 point here. So if you have a sequence of animations and you change the position, make sure they stop and end at the same position basically, because otherwise the hero would like bounce around in between the animation. Yeah, and you may know from the game that if you do a swing, the hero tends to make one step forward. But this is not part of the animation actually. So this physical push forward is something the engine does, but it's not based in animation. So let me undo this. You see here, for all animations, he keeps the position static at the 0 point. And I played around with this a little bit because I wanted to counteract this push forward. And it kind of actually works. If I would let the hero slip backwards during the animation, this would counter the physical step forward, I would say. But yeah, then you would have to do this consistently over all one-handed animation. And you would make sure that at the end of it, both, so the position in the game that is not handled via animations and the animation position, they kind of need to blend together at the end. So this can be kind of tricky. And for basic animation, I recommend you leave this as it is. Okay, so I guess there's a lot more that you can do and learn, but for this video I think we leave it like that, and now we're going to take a look at how it would look like in the game. So I say export, motion, let's put this to the desktop. And it's important now that I apply the correct name of the animation. So you can actually choose it here, choose rename, then copy the name. And there it is. So the export is done. Here's my Gothic 3 data folder. Now I go to compiled animation. So here are all my edited animations already, but yeah, those are two-handed ones and X ones. So yeah, just drag and drop it into this folder. And that's enough, then start the game. Now I'm curious how it shapes out. Okay. It's actually not bad, right? I mean, what do you think? Sort of a clean strike. I think the timing is okay. Yeah, I think it's already a little bit better than the original. But another thing to consider is, yeah, the horizontal strikes. There's a chance you do not hit your opponent at all because the hitbox would go over his head or his model. So to check this a bit closer, type in Marvin, then press Ctrl Q. And now you actually see the hitboxes. And I guess for a lurker, and I stand here and he would be in front of me, I wouldn't hit him or it. And I guess you know the infamous occasion with a demon in Gotha, and he's on the stairs and he does his swings, he doesn't hit anything. It's because his strikes are horizontal and the hitbox is also like a hitbox from a sword, and he just hits over everything. So yeah, this is one more thing to consider among quite a lot of stuff. Like how fast is the swing, what's the path of the weapon, what's the orientation, is it maybe too fast, is it too slow? And also keep in mind that everything you edit here is directly applied for NPCs as well, so it's one set of animations. Also happened to me that I changed it to a faster one-handed combat, but then I noticed when you fight against the enemies, it's way too fast, it was way too chaotic. So yeah, it's a lot of editing, then a lot of testing, then a lot of editing again, and that's why it is a lot of work. Yeah, and well, I hope some of you will try this out and maybe start editing combat or other stuff. Yeah, I mean, the tools are there, and as you saw, it's actually not so difficult. So this was, what, 10 minutes to change the one strike. Yeah, so let this be it for a little introduction video for the combat animations editing. If you want, I can do this again and go a little bit more into detail. Or I can also make a video about how to change the weapon meshes. Like, for example, how to get like this big ass X over here. It's also not difficult. Something I did for all two-handed weapons actually. At least for the X's, because they were way too small, and I also adapted the hitboxes. And now it's more fun to play. Yeah, anyways, thanks for watching and see you later.